Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So I guess this is a quick preview for Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. Of course this fight goes down this weekend, the one we've all been waiting for. Takes place obviously at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Showtime pay-per-view in the USA, and I believe it's on TNT pay-per-view in the UK. I'm not going to do this as a usual prediction video. I'm really just going to share my thoughts on the fight in general, what I'm expecting as a boxing fan, and whatever comes to my mind basically. I don't really have time right now to kind of go back and watch old fights, compare, contrast, and that sort of thing. And quite frankly, I don't want to, because it's a fight we've been waiting for so long. It's an important fight for boxing, and really, I just want to enjoy it, I just want to enjoy it. And that takes me to my main point surrounding this fight. Obviously, this year so far, we have had some really good moments, some big fights, some disappointments as well. But really, this is one of the crowning jewels in boxing, this fight, as of right now. And for me, this fight has to deliver on a couple of different metrics. First and foremost, of course, it has to be a good fight, right? Has to be competitive, back and forth, great advertisement for boxing, all that good stuff. We want to see a good fight. Especially, someone like me who... Listen, I prefer Errol Spence, I much prefer watching him fight, but I don't really have a dog in the race. As such, I just want to see a good fight. So there's that, but for me the main thing is that many times in recent years when it comes to boxing's biggest fights, in one way or another, boxing fans have been left shortchanged, especially the casuals, which is the audience that really matter at the end of the day. You go back and look at certain fights, Mayweather-Pacquiao, complete dud. Canelo-Golovkin won, complete robbery. Even Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis, that fight, highly hyped, highly touted, many people were looking forward to it. But the way Ryan Garcia just swallowed it in that fight, it left a bad taste in a lot of boxing fans' mouths. Many people felt he could have continued. And when it's come to these big fights in recent years, there's always been some sort of asterisk, controversy, etc. And I think boxing could really do without that happening again in this fight, especially considering we've had to wait so long for it. This fight's been spoken about since when? 2018? Whenever Crawford first went to welterweight, I think that was 2018. It's been a long time coming. So for me personally, the main thing I'm really wanting from this fight is for it to be as fair as possible in terms of officiating, judging, and we get no controversy. There's no BS stoppage or bad decision, etc. I just want a good fight at the end of the day. I'm not really interested in the back and forth between both sets of fans. That's been an interesting aspect of this fight if you've been on social media seeing the Crawford and Spence fans going at it. A lot of these guys are very nervous all of a sudden. And to me that kind of signifies what's wrong with boxing fans in 2023. And it's not nervousness to the point to where they're just supporting a guy and they really want him to win. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I happen to believe there's a certain section of boxing fans who would rather this fight not happen so they can just carry on their agenda in regards to whatever fighter they support. Because they don't want their guy to lose because, for whatever reason, they feel it reflects badly on them. Bear in mind, this Spence-Crawford debate, who's ducking who, this, that and the other, it's been going on for 5 years, and many of these people have been invested in that storyline for 5 years. So to then see one of their guys lose, they really don't want to see that. I'm pretty certain of that. There's a lot of people who would rather this fight never happened so they could just continue that nonsense talk between both fighters and who's this, who's that, who's ducking, this, that and the third. That's an interesting aspect to this fight. It's kind of a glimpse into the social media era of boxing fan. There's too much fanboyism to the point to where it becomes detrimental. Again, there's nothing wrong with supporting fighters, but yeah, if it gets to the point where you're happy to see these guys knock over no-hopers just so they don't lose, then yeah, there's a problem, and those fans do exist. But anyway, enough of that. This fight's an interesting one because if you asked me 2018-ish who would I pick to win this fight, I would actually make Errol Spence Jr. a favourite back then. But obviously since the last sort of 2 or 3 years or so, we know what's gone on with Errol Spence. I don't need to reiterate, but I will. Outside the ring issues, allegations of, consuming a bit too much alcohol, car crashes, detached retina, etc. There's been a few things with Errol Spence that gives me a lot of doubt in regards to his chances of performing at optimum levels. Again, 2018 time, I'd have picked Spence to win. Asking me now, that has flipped. I'm now favouring Terence Crawford to win this fight. The Ugas fight to me was very interesting from Errol Spence. I felt in that fight when Spence was when he found his rhythm, when he was going through the gears. I actually felt Spence looked really, really good in that fight. Put his shots together well, worked the body well, beat down Ugas, damaged him, and eventually stopped him. But I didn't like the lack of concentration in that fight. He switched off for odd moments, and obviously there was the moment where he lost his mouthpiece, completely switched off, got caught, and he felt that shot. He was buzzed by that shot. Even against Danny Garcia, he was kind of buzzed in that fight as well. And I've got this weird feeling that there has been some sort of detrimental effect on Spence's punch resistance. And against a guy like Crawford, who's very sudden, who's very quick, he's explosive, he can punch at angles, he can switch it up between styles. He's got a good knack of surprising you. Plus he's got long arms as well, where you think he's out of range, but he's not quite, and he'll tag you right at the end of one of his shots. He can surprise you with his power shots, quick power shots. I've got this weird feeling Spence isn't going to react well to those punches. I could even see a scenario where Spence builds up his rhythm, he's working well behind the jab, he's landing some good shots on Crawford, to the body. Maybe he's even winning the fight. I've just got this sneaky feeling when Crawford explodes with his shots, those quick punches from angles, surprising shots, I've got a feeling Spence is really going to feel those and he's going to get hurt at some point. I've just got a weird feeling it's going to be a really competitive fight until it's not, and that's until Spence gets hurt. And once Spence does get hurt, we know Terence Crawford is a good finisher. He'll go for the gusto, he goes for blood when he gets a guy hurt. I've got a weird feeling that's how this fight's going to go down. Again, if Spence performs like he did against Ugas, I think he gives Crawford a lot of trouble. But I just don't have faith that he's going to hold up to those sudden power shots of Crawford. Those sudden quick power shots that surprise him. And it's going to be those shots that do the damage. I just have that sneaking feeling. I really do. And I can see a scenario where Spence is actually boxing really well behind the southpaw jab, giving Crawford real problems, winning rounds, etc. with his work rate and good fundamentals. But Crawford has that knack to turn a fight on its head. He's got more X factor in comparison to Errol Spence, and I really think that matters in this particular fight, more so than it did a few years ago. I think that could be the difference. I know Crawford's older, but Crawford is nearly 36. Errol Spence is 33 maybe? Yeah, he's 33, and Crawford is nearly 36, and Crawford has had more fights. I get that, but to me Crawford looks fresher. Crawford is a guy who, to me at least, gives me the impression that he looks after himself out the ring, You don't see this guy partying, clubbing, getting into nonsense like that. Kind of a quiet guy. Lives for life. And at some point in time in fighters' careers, that does matter. And considering the ages of both guys are coming towards the end, let's be honest. And it's in these sort of moments where who looks after themselves the most can actually play a factor in the fight. And I think you'll see that here. I've got a weird feeling that Spence's punch resistance isn't what it was. And I've got a weird feeling that this fight is the fight that is going to show that. With that being said, I do have Terence Crawford winning this fight. I think he stops Errol Spence Jr. in rounds 8 or 9. Again, this is just based off gut feeling. This is not like an in-depth prediction. I've not gone back and watched either guy to like do a real prediction, break down what each guy should do. None of that. We're going purely off gut instinct here. Purely off gut instinct. And again, I've got Crawford winning this fight by stoppage. Maybe Spence surprises me, because ultimately I still believe he's got the skills to really trouble Crawford. Maybe even still beat him. But those flash moments when Crawford lands that good shit, I'm not sure he can necessarily weather the storm like he may have been previously able to. I actually hope I'm wrong in regards to Spence. I hope Spence is the best Spence we've ever seen. Same with Crawford. That's what I'm hoping for. But I've just got this sneaky feeling in regards to Spence, and I've had it for a little while now. Hope I'm wrong though. Hope I'm wrong. Again, I want to see a good fight. And hopefully at the end of this, there's no controversy, there's no BS stoppage or robbery, nothing like that. I don't really want to be waking up looking at social media and the rival fan bases are going back and forth in regards to who really won, etc. I don't want to see that. I want to see a clear, concise winner in a good fight. That's what I want to see. Boxing's got a funny way of letting us down, so bear that in mind. But I'm going to be optimistic. I'm looking forward to it. I can't lie, I am sucked into the hype now. These days, you know, living in the UK, it's very rare these days I stay up till 4 AM, 5 AM to watch a fight. Usually I'll watch them the next day. You know, I'm getting too old for this shit, basically. I'm nearly 30, for Christ's sake. But yeah, I'll stay up for this one. I'll stay up for it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Plus, there's a couple of good fights on the undercard as well. I like the Donaire fight. It's good to see Donaire back in action, so I like to see that. Also, Isaac Cruz is good fun as well. There's a couple of fights on the undercard to look forward to as well, so there's that as well, which makes it easier to stay up when there's a half-decent undercard, so yeah. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Who do you think's winning this fight? Let me know your predictions below. Who wins and how do they win? Let me know below. Again, this is different for me. Usually, I'd like to do a more detailed breakdown in regards to what I believe each guy should do to win. But honestly, I don't really have the time. I say that and we're like 13 minutes in. I don't really have the time. But also, I don't really want to do it. I just want to enjoy the fight. I don't want to think too hard about it. I want to go in there and be entertained, essentially. But anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Delboy. Peace.